Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Braden, and I'm still new here, all things considered, when you really think about it. And I'm back with a kind of new video. It's really just an update from the first video that I did on this channel about Andrew Tate and his army of middle school teenage boys. And it's especially relevant now because, as I'm sure you have all heard or seen on Twitter or on the news, that Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate and two other women have been charged with multiple crimes in Romania and are facing up to 20 years in prison. And so what we're going to do today is just pretty quickly read through a news report on what exactly is going on with them, and then check on some of the Army's response to some of this. That army of teenage boys is going to have to deploy soon. They're going to have to report to Romania. I hope that they all have their passports and visas ready and that they are prepared to fight. So before we get into it, obviously, if you're not as familiar with Andrew and Tristan Tate, just a quick trigger warning. There are going to be, throughout the video, because of the kind of people that Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate are, mentions of sexual violence throughout the entire video, and we will mention those things pretty much throughout because that is what they have been charged with and that is what is being talked about. But I'm sure that Andrew Tate's fans are taking this pretty well, right? So first we're going to read through a report from the AP here. So this comes out of Bucharest, Romania. Andrew Tate, a social media personality known for expressing misogynistic views online, appeared Wednesday at a court in Romania where prosecutors have charged him with rape, human trafficking, and forming a criminal gang to exploit women. Big shock, right? It shouldn't come as a surprise because Andrew Tate admittedly moved to Romania from England because he himself said that he wanted to be able to move more freely when it came to what he was allowed and not allowed to do with women, and England's laws were more strict when it came to those sorts of things than Romania's laws were. So he intentionally moved to Romania in order to skirt the law in England. Not surprising that he was engaged in those activities, maybe a little more surprising that they kind of caught up with him, given that he moved to Romania to get around this kind of thing. Tate and his brother Tristan, who is also charged with the offenses, arrived Wednesday at a court in the capital Bucharest, flanked by 6 bodyguards. Prosecutors have also filed charges against 2 Romanian women in the case. Romania's anti-organized crime agency alleged that the 4 defendants organized a criminal group in 2021 in order to commit the crime of human trafficking in Romania, as well as the United States and Britain. The agency alleged that 7 female victims were misled and transported to Romania, where they were sexually exploited and subjected to physical violence by the gang. One defendant is accused of raping a woman twice in March 2022, according to the statement. Tate, 36, has resided in Romania since 2017. The professional kickboxer has repeatedly claimed Romanian prosecutors have no evidence and alleged the case is a political conspiracy to silence him. Now, this is an interesting claim that Tate has made several times. I don't know what political reason the Romanian government would have to silence Andrew Tate. What has Andrew Tate done or said that has negatively impacted Romania's standing geopolitically where they would need to bring charges against him in order to bring him down? It literally makes no sense. All this is just fodder for his fans who literally know nothing about anything and will just eat up anything him and his brother say, because anyone with a brain will look at this and say, yeah, what political reason would anyone have to bring a charge like this against you? If anything, when cases like this happen, political reasons are what keep charges like this from being brought against individuals. Andrew Tate is just fooling his fans. I don't know if he's going to fool a jury or a judge. Asked by reporters how much money have you made from trafficking women outside court ahead of Wednesday's hearing, Tate snapped, "Zero." Tate's spokesperson Matea Petrescu said Tuesday that the brothers were prepared to demonstrate their innocence and vindicate their reputation. Tate's legal team are prepared to cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities, presenting all necessary evidence to exonerate the brothers and expose any misinterpretations or false accusations. The Tate brothers, who are dual British U.S. citizens, and the two Romanian suspects were detained in late December in Bucharest. The brothers won an appeal on March 31st to be moved from police custody to house arrest. Tate is a successful social media figure with more than 6 million Twitter followers, many of them young men and school children. Yes, we've covered that. He previously was banned from TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook for hate speech and his misogynistic comments, including that women should bear responsibility for getting sexually assaulted. Interesting. I'm going to assume that that's probably relevant in this situation, right? And there are also numerous clips of him saying and doing things that would indicate that he has sexually assaulted and abused women in the past, including some very disturbing things that we will not show here. But if you would like to learn more or see evidence of those things, you can look them up. Vice News did some stuff on it. It's out there. You don't really have to look that far to find out that Andrew Tate is a scumbag. It should not be that surprising. He returned to Twitter last year after the platform's new CEO, Elon Musk, reinstated Tate's new account, Hope Not Hate, a group campaigning against far-right extremism in the UK, has warned that Tate continues to attract a huge following among young men and teenage boys who are drawn to his misogynist, homophobic, and racist content by the luxurious lifestyle the influencer projects online. Romania's anti-organized crime agency known as DICOT said the 7 alleged victims were recruited with false declarations of love and taken to Romania's Ilfov County, where they were forced to take part in pornography. The women were allegedly controlled by intimidation, constant surveillance, and claims they were in debt, prosecutors said. Prosecutors ordered the confiscation of the Tate brothers' assets, including 15 luxury cars, luxury watches, and about $3 million in cryptocurrency, the agency's statement said. Several women in Britain also are pursuing civil claims to obtain damages from Tate, alleging they were victims of sexual violence. In a recent interview with the BBC, Tate denied spreading a culture of misogyny and accusations that he manipulated women for financial gain. Well, that's interesting, because if you look at Andrew Tate's website, for example, he talks about making women fall in love with him and like branding women, for example, and all of this is like a scheme to get women to essentially pledge their allegiance to him for none other than financial gain, and probably to bolster his ego, I'm sure. And he's really not beholden to them in any real way. So let's see what his army's up to on Twitter. So here's one from Twitter user Praise George, and he says 99.9% of the people attacking Andrew Tate are failures driven by envy. They detest their uninspiring lives, and their attack is a deep cry for help, for someone to rescue them from their miserable existence. Now, I can't speak for everyone that dislikes Andrew Tate, but personally, I just want people to stop saying what he's saying, especially among teenage boys and teenagers in general. I'm not envious at all. Andrew Tate's lifestyle is not appealing to me at all. In fact, if I really try to put myself in his shoes and think about, having Bugattis and doing everything that I can to attract multiple women at the same time and maintain such a strong online presence that pumps out content multiple times a day, that just sounds super stressful. It just sounds so stressful and not worth it. So no, I don't envy that. I like my life. Sorry, Praise George. I think you're envious. I don't think the average person is envious of Andrew Tate. I think the average person just wishes that he would shut up. So let's keep going. Let's see who else. H. Pearl Davis. Now, I've seen her recently for some other things that she's been saying about specifically trans people, which have been not great. What did she say about Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate's only real crime is being too influential. The Matrix won't have it. Yes, the Matrix. The Matrix. What even is there to say? What does this even mean? This is just like meaningless word salad. His only crime is being too influential. I mean, that is a crime in his case because he's being influential in a bad way. Like, let's think about this for a second. Influence in and of itself does not make one evil, but the amount of influence that someone has does amplify the ability that they have to do damage in the world. So it's not his only crime, H. Pearl, but it is a crime, or it is a compounding factor, to be sure. Now, let's see. Emperor Andy. What does Emperor Andy have to say? Andrew Tate has changed the lives of young men for the better. False. Showing them a path in a world with no light for the masculine youth. There are ways to be masculine without being like Andrew Tate. I just want, if you're a young man, a boy watching this, and you want to be a masculine boy, man, there are ways to be masculine without being like Andrew Tate. You can be straight, you can like sports, you can like fast cars, you name it. You don't have to be like this. You can like all that stuff and be all those things and not be a misogynist. You can be all those things and not be a bad person, is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to be like Andrew Tate. There are other options for you. Seek positive, masculine role models. Anyone left with a brain understands that this case is complete bullshit. Free Top G. I don't know. Anyone left with a brain? 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 I think you're wrong. Here's one from Joey Manorino mentioning Hunter Biden. Oh, this should be interesting. Andrew Tate is trending at #1 for being arrested, but you know who else was charged today and isn't trending? Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, whose laptop has pictures. Okay, we don't need to read all that. Hunter Biden pled guilty, so that's why normally people who plead guilty to stuff don't trend, especially when it's to misdemeanor charges. People who are charged with felonies who can go to jail for 20 years typically get more coverage, especially when they have 6 million followers on Twitter. Let's see, what else? What else are they? Travis in Flint. He seems fun. He's got 2 American flags in his name. As we all know, people who have multiple American flags in their Twitter names are always the least unhinged. Opinion. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate have been charged on what appears to be bogus charges of rape and human trafficking. And how do we know they're bogus, Travis? Or how do you know? What makes you hold this opinion? Let's see. Based on the charges, it appears they coerced women by offering relationships but only intended to sleep with them. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it based on the reports, but okay. Honestly, this is one of the most ridiculous indictments I've ever seen. Okay, we're not explaining why. You're just throwing things in sequence and just hoping that it'll catch some traction. The brothers are also being robbed as Dicot is attempting to seize $380 million of luxury cars and watches and other valuables. Now, the AP report said $3 million. So either the Tates have been grossly overvaluating their net worth, or this guy is, or the AP just doesn't know how much money the Tates are worth. I don't know. Somebody's wrong here, though. Probably this guy and the Tates, though, would be my guess. This appears to be nothing more than another corrupt government going after people who speak out against the system. Again, what system? When, please someone show me, when have Andrew and Tristan Tate spoken out against the Romanian government that would give them cause to go after them in a political sense and take them as quintessentially political prisoners? Please someone show me. Someone show me that. Because I have not seen any evidence of that other than people just saying that it's the case. And you just saying that it's the case does not make it the case. I'm sorry. They're attempting to make an example of anyone who speaks out against them. Again, who? Who is? The Romanian government? Why would they? Why would they do that? Oh, here's another from Joey Manorino. Imagine actually believing that Andrew Tate needs to rape somebody. Again, I'm not even going to read that whole one. Because, look, that's such a tired line. Consent is needed in every sexual encounter. This notion that some men are so desirable that they always have consent 100% of the time for every partner that they desire is, number one, false and delusional. But number two, it is incredibly dangerous, and it gives rise to exactly the kind of thing that we're dealing with right here. Because it is exactly this kind of mindset of entitlement that leads to sexual assault. Is this idea that imagine me needing to do this to someone, needing to, as in I can have my pick, so I don't need to do this to anybody. What you're implying is that you can have your pick of any woman that you choose. And that is not the case. I don't think, in particular, Andrew Tate is that desirable to a lot of women, but that doesn't really matter because regardless, those women would have to consent to having a sexual encounter with Andrew Tate. And if they consent, that's fine. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about situations where they reportedly did not consent or felt coerced. And a coerced yes is not consent, because if you have to twist my arm to make me say yes, I'm not saying yes in the conditions that I would normally say yes in. This is the exact kind of thing that allows men to legitimize sexual assault. And here's the last one we'll read. All Andrew Tate haters are dorks, nerds, geeks, arrogants, brokies, alphaless, packless, muscleless, happyless, intelligentless, jetless, yachtless, mansionless, bitchless, Bugatti watchless, and Bugattiless. Let's see. Dork, yeah. Nerd, geek, yeah. Arrogant, I don't know. Brokey, I'm by some people's standards. Alphaless, does that mean that I don't have an alpha or that I'm not an alpha? And packless, what does that mean? Does that mean I don't have a pack? Muscleless, I think everyone has muscles. Happyless, that one's confusing too. Intelligentless, I think you could just said like not smart. Jetless, yeah, I don't have a jet. I don't have a yacht. I don't have a mansion. I am married, although I don't refer to my wife that way. I don't have a Bugatti watch, and I don't have a Bugatti. So yeah, I mean, you got me 2/3, but I don't know what point that proved. So yeah, look, here's the thing. I'm not a fan of incarceration or carceral punishment in general, but I am a fan of limiting people like Andrew Tate's influence. And if incarcerating Andrew and Tristan Tate is the only way to deplatform them and to take away their influence and to delegitimize them in the eyes of many of the young men who follow them, then I'll take that as a win. Now, it remains to be seen what's going to happen here. They might get off scot-free. I guess we'll see. But what I do know is that what I have read, what I've listened to, what I've watched is disturbing enough that if anybody actually has paid attention to anything that Andrew Tate has said or done over the past, decade, anyone with a brain would know that the charges being brought against Andrew Tate right now are probably legitimate and that it's time to hop off the bandwagon now. He's a poor influence. He's a poor influence because he actively encourages young men and boys to be manipulative, to be misogynistic, to be coercive, and a whole lot of other things that lead to stunted and or destroyed relational capacity. And that's not what I want to see in young men. And I just don't want to see regressive politics win in the larger socio-political sphere in general. And I believe that with Andrew Tate and others like him continuing to have an influence on young men and boys, that is what we're going to see. And that is what we are seeing. So hoping for the best out of this trial. It sucks. Sucks that it's happening. It sucks that we're at a place where the whole world is watching a random trial in Romania, but that is where we are. I might come back when this whole thing is wrapped up, whenever that is. I don't know how fast the Romanian court system works. If it's anything like the American court system, not very fast, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far in the video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon in another one.